Oh, I don't want to see the chat. I don't know what they
Chat.
think.
The same scenario as you can.
Oh, it's moving.
Would you rather be? So your choice is live, or be SA'd. Live or be SA'd. I'd rather live and be SA'd than just or have the choice of death.
Live.
I'd rather live.
Yeah.
Like, it would obviously suck. I would maybe have trauma, but I would get, I would try to move on with my life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, look, SA is terrible, but so your argument.
Well, wait, hang on. What if it was SA'd by a woman though?
That's actually does add an interesting. Well, I mean, I'd still rather live.
Why is that interesting?
I would still no, but it's interesting because his thing was, well, you're essayed by someone of your same sex.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of, but.
So that changes the spectrum around, doesn't it? So like, I would take death before I took the SA by a male, but would not take death before I took the SA by the female, right?
Damn, this is getting deep.
Really deep.
Well, I think.
Wait,
So
Andrew, you would rather die?
Yes.
I mean, look, it ain't ideal, but I want to keep on living.
No, I get it. I understand. You know what I mean?
Wait,
but
Andrew,
there's
you
no
have
right answer to the question.
But Andrew, you have
It's
kids.
just a
Wouldn't?
preference.
But Andrew, you have kids. So like, is that your genuine answer?
It's sad that they're going to have to be orphans, you know.
What the fuck?
I'm sorry if I had to choose.
Really dark.
That's it. But the thing is, though, is that if you add in the dynamic of if it's SA by a woman, wouldn't that be far more preferable? And so then you add in
Sure.
This is like no one's getting between these cheeks.
Well, okay, so wait, Andrew, let me double down on this. Okay, so Hulk Hogan as a woman,
Oh, man.
or like trans Megan Fox.
This is.
I think I could deal with the whatever female. It doesn't matter as long as it's an actual female. I think I could deal with it. But no, I don't.
Hulk
think
Hogan
that
female.
Yeah, I think if it's the question of give me penis or give me death, it's I'm taking the death note on this one. I'm sorry.
I'm still living. I'm living in either. So okay, your position is what again? I don't know.
You want me to repeat it for like?
Why not?
Women were the primary.
Are women the primary victims
Primary
of war?
victims. I don't agree with that wording, but yes.
Anybody agree? Are women the primary
No,
victims
they're not
of
going
war?
to agree. I'm
No,
sorry.
they might. You never know.
Oh, I could hear.
I'd like our Chilean. Do you want to weigh in on this?
No.
No.
C. Okay. All right. Oh, you had something?
No.
Malik?
Malik.
Oh, my
No,
bad.
I don't.
Okay. Let's do a couple chats then. I don't know if we're going to be able to convince her. Andrew, I don't know if you had any further back and forth on the war thing. Women are the primary victims of war, according to her.
Yeah,
So
well,
crazy to me.
She's kind of revised her answers a little bit. So let's try to take the charitable approach instead.
Hold on.
Sisyphus donated $100. Listen, Brian, I get your point about battlefield deaths, but to some extent you are still expressing some agency in the whole ordeal. Men wake up every day to protect and provide for their family.
I'm
Well,
not really
then I
sure
guess-
I understand the argument.
I think
there.
he's saying it's like, if that's the argument, it's like the duty, right?
The
If
duty.
If you're on the side of traditional and
Brian Fulcook donated $100. Brian, essayed by man. It's such an intrusion for a woman by a man. And you must raise the attacker's child.
Yeah, living is still preferable over. Living is always going to be more preferable.
what about if they attacked your children and did stuff to your children and then let you live?
What?
So confused.
It's
Yeah,
like.
well, I mean, but they're also doing that to a man's child, and then let them live, right? So what? I don't understand the argument. The argument is, well, what if they did this to our kids? It's like, well, it's our kids, right? My kids too. So then wouldn't the man also have to deal with the same trauma?
Wait.
He wouldn't be able to witness it in person.
Really quick, I just want to address Sisyphus really quick. I think just because men have an instinct to provide and protect for their family doesn't mean, like, for example, Vietnam is not viewed as like a righteous war historically or in current day. So a man who got drafted to, for example, Vietnam, you can perhaps make the case that World War II was a bit more righteous. But a man who was drafted to go to Vietnam, what were we doing in Vietnam? I don't know.
Can I?
Well, we were busy getting netted in by the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which turned out to be a complete and total fraud. But anyway, that aside.
But there was no. When it came to Vietnam, it's like, what are we doing there?
Yeah.
It's
I get it, but
it's their internal conflict. I don't know.
But this moves it back to the point, though, here. So I'm going to try to do the most charitable thing that I can do.
Let's go.
And try to see it from your perspective. So if the perspective is that women are more oppressed during war than men are, you would agree with me that women are not going to be the ones fighting the actual war. So the ramifications of this are going to be situational. They're going to be based on things like food, possibilities of SA, things like this, not direct death, generally.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, generally. So then the question does come down to what Brian is asking, which is it preferable for a woman or a man to be SA'd or for the life to be taken? This does become then the pertinent question in the hypothetical. So the question to you is, which one do you think is preferable for most people?
No idea.
None? You think that if most people had to choose between SA or death, that they would choose death?
Your entire point is based on SA being worse than death.
Right.
Well, I wasn't saying, no, that's not my point at all. I think SA is a part of war and part of what happens to women, but there's other things that also happen to women.
I also
Well, what are worse? What are worse things that happen to women than that?
Witnessing sometimes the mental, witnessing some things like that happen to your family members as well.
How would that be worse than men who are witnessing their best friends getting their faces blown off in a war?
They're getting drafted with their best friends?
Oh my God.
Sometimes, yes. And if they're not,
no, like they're going on the battlefield with their buddies. They're choosing.
They might become friends. A lot of people join the military together.
In the field with. So the question is how is that less traumatic than watching the men around you getting mowed down by machine guns?
I mean, and you also have to understand too, like, because you made the counter argument of, if it was your child.
Chris donated $100. Andrew, why would you mention the Gulf of Tonkin? I guarantee you that the girls think that the Gulf of Tonkin is a cocktail.
Oh, also last thing.
I don't think so. I think Malik knows what it is. You know what it is, right, Malik?
Sure.
Oh, just last thing.
You have
really
no
quick.
fucking idea, do you, Malik?
No,
I was going to give you credit, and then you ruined everything.
I believe I do, but I don't want to guess for sake of sounding like an idiot if I'm wrong.
All right,
also, just really quick, just on the Sisyphus thing, him saying men wake up every day to protect and provide. Again, like I mentioned, Vietnam War, also the Iraq War. You've got the military-industrial complex.
Big Sass Energy donated $100. Civilian men are the primary targets from an invading army. The first and most likely to be dispatched because they are most capable of violent resistance. SA happens, but is minuscule in comparison.
That is correct. Mm-hmm. So this is an overarching historical theme as well, that generally occupied nations, the first thing that is done is either the young men are compressed into service of the occupier, enslaved in service of the occupier, or outright exterminated. The reason for this is because it eliminates resistance of the people who can resist. Generally, women are not exterminated, but are carried off instead as trophies, or some other thing happens. But generally, they're not taken out. It's usually young men who are taken out.
Okay.
here in this scenario, let's say that in a military conflict, not using any specific one, in a military conflict, 20 million men die in the conflict and 1 million women are essayed. Which is worse?
20 million dying.
Okay, so let's just assume that that's the case for all World War I and World War II. Those are the stats.
We're assuming, yes.
You think it's higher?
I don't know, but I'm not talking about essay and just essay. I'm talking about death as well. I'm talking about all of that.
Well,
it's
okay.
all
Yeah,
captured in.
So all of these conditions, though, are shared, except this one condition generally. So almost every condition that you're talking about is a shared condition. Starvation would be a shared condition of the populace. If you're talking about watching loved ones die, that would be a shared condition of the populace. All of these would be shared conditions with the exception of this one thing, which is SA. That's why we're narrowing in on it. Because anything that you would attribute to a thing bad happening to a female population would be the same exact bad thing that would be happening to the men of that population as well.
I mean, but wouldn't it kind of somewhat be considered shared? Because it's like the point I was trying to make is that in her argument, she was saying that in the sense of children being a part of that group, the men wouldn't be there to witness it, so it wouldn't be as harsh on them as it would be for the women and the children.
To witness.
Well, it could be worse,
The essay.
actually. Imagine
that
if
was
you're
the
in
point.
combat. Imagine if you're in combat and you get a letter that says, "Hey, your children were slaughtered by the enemy." And you're not
Yes.
even there because you were in the front lines. I think that in some ways that might even be worse.
That was the point I was trying to make, is that, you know, coming home, and it's like, if you get the chance to come home to find out, you know, your family's gone, whether it be mother, wife, sister, children, whoever, you know, would that entail a worse response and make that more of a reasonable victimhood than this essay itself? That's just hot take.
Well, I don't know. There's not, with what you're talking about here, there's not a right or a wrong answer.
There isn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? At least in this particular instance. But there is a right answer, I think, when it comes to death versus SA and warfare and who's targeted and who's affected more. And it's very clear that men are affected far more by warfare between nations than women are. Women are the protected class, and so are children. That's why men go to do the fighting, and that's why generally they do it away from their homelands, because they want to protect the women. If their homeland is occupied, it's usually the young men who get put to the sword and not the women, who instead are considered trophies. There's a reason why when Vikings conquered different areas, they put the men to the sword and took the women with them. The women got to live.
Are women the primary victims of war?
Forcibly, they got to live under the capture of new people in that case scenario.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be
but-
better than the alternative of death? That's the question.
That's more of, again, that would depend on your own mentality of like what you define living is.
Let's remove all hypothetical scenarios. Let's just look at World War II. I don't know the extent of your knowledge on World War II, but whatever you know that there's been significant military casualties, and it's over 20 million. They're all men. Given that you know that, in World War II, who would you say was the primary victim of war, men or women?
Of the U.S. men.
No. Just globally.
Based off of what I know from World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't. It's just I don't know any of the statistics around it. I said women initially,
women are
so I'm
more
going to say women.
oppressed.
Okay. What about World War I? Who's the primary victim of war in World War I?
I'll just stick with women.
Women. How about just all war? If we just add up all the wars together, who's the primary victim of war in general?
I don't think either gender should be who's more victimized. I think in war everyone's a victim. So I don't even.
But who's?
Someone has it worse.
Who is the primary victim
That was the question.
of war? That's the question.
Can I ask?
Hold on, no. Hold on. Go ahead.
Think of it from your progressive values of intersectionality during warfare. right? Just think of it as intersectionality during warfare, and then you can determine who's the most oppressed based on all sorts of contributing factors which we can make
warfare?
up to find which sex is the most oppressed during war.
During war.
Who is the primary victim?
I said women. I'm going to stick with women.
Globally throughout all time, who is the primary victim of war, men or women?
I'm going to say women.
Okay.
Why?
Okay.
And it's based off all the points I already made.
So let's say if I mean I don't even know.
Can I bring up a similar example? So if there's a murder case, okay, forget about war. If someone's murdered, all right, and just say the same person who murdered that man, he had a girlfriend and a kid back at home, and now they're single, and she's the single mom because her boyfriend or husband was just murdered. Who's the victim in that scenario?
In the scenario of
that someone got murdered, and now there's a single mom raising a kid alone.
That's actually good.
And I can't say
Who's
both are the victim.
Who's the victim?
I think they're both victims.
Well, no. Hold on. Okay. So if I have this right, your question to her is, okay, do you have a brother?
Yes.
Okay. Your brother gets murdered.
Wow.
Who's the primary victim of him being murdered?
My brother?
Is that your answer, or are you asking a question?
My brother is
your
the
brother's
victim.
the primary victim. It's not your.
But you're also a victim.
But right?
I think my family members are also victims.
What if
yes.
let me ask you a question.
But the primary victim is your brother. Why would your brother be the primary victim?
Let's say you even witnessed the murder. Who is the primary victim?
I'm confused about this point, how it correlates to the last
It's
point.
kind of related, but hold on. So, okay. You witness your brother being murdered. Who's the primary victim?
My brother.
But you witnessed it. I assume it was traumatic.
Of course it was. And I'm a victim, and I have to live on being a victim.
But you had.
Well, which was preferable? Like, from the standpoint of you?
If
that
me
you're still
witnessing
alive?
or...
Isn't it
more
preferable that you're
victimized?
still alive in this instance?
So which one's more preferred? Witnessing, I guess. Depends.
Yes.
Depends if I get victim.
Natalia, thank you for that. That was actually a very good.
Yeah,
that was a very good way to frame
multiply
it.
that by like a couple million.
Look, I don't know if we're gonna be able to convince her, boys.
Yeah, I think
She's a tough one.
Yeah.
I want you. Who's driving back? Because I know it's you.
We're not gonna make
I
it.
mean-
Done for.
Wait, you.
I
We're all
drove.
driving together.
Oh, you guys all drove
I'm
together?
driving by myself.
I don't know her.
Oh no, I'm.
You can come if you
No,
want.
it's you. You guys are friends, right? You all who's driving? Oh, her.
Jojo is.
I was gonna say maybe one of you drive, and then I think this is on Netflix. Have her watch All Quiet on the Western Front. While driving back, and then she can, after seeing the barbarism and brutality of war, maybe, you might think, maybe it was the men who had it a little rougher. Saving Private Ryan, watch the first scene of Saving Private Ryan. That's a good one, but the whole All Quiet on the Western Front movie on Netflix, very good.
Yeah,
also
but you have to
do a new
understand
age.
that women were riveting screws into pieces of sheet metal,
yeah.
and so it's equal. It's, I mean, you can see that riveting screws into sheet metal and dealing with bloody wounds is the same as storming the beaches of Normandy. Now, that might seem absurd to the average man who's out there listening, but, who cares? It's really it's how we feel. It's, and things that give you the ick. Ultimately. That's the ick and how we feel, that's how we're going to do society.
I'm shocked this is coming from you as well, because you said you rather die than be R-worded.
Yeah, by my own sex.
Yeah, so
But he prefer nice beefy
Because
women.
he finds he does.
Yeah,
he would
there's
rather
a
die than be
distinction,
violated.
I think, between men in SA and women in SA.
So you think
there's a distinction to be made under preference. And in this particular condition, I'm not even sure most men would agree with me. It's just my preference is that I would rather take the bullet than that.
all right.
Let's take a woman's bullet than a man's bullet.
I have a question for you. How do you say your name again? What's your first name?
Jojo.
Jojo. how many women do you think have had trench foot?
Oh my God.
I know this, you know, trench foot. What about, like mustard gas, World War I? Just a little, 9 months in the trenches. A little 9 months, just a little casual 9 months in the trenches. A little mustard gas, a little trench foot,
How many women did you say died in World War II? Like 15?
No, there were no, I feel like I read there was some Russian or Soviet, or no, wait, there was, I know in World War II there was like a small group of Soviet female soldiers, but there might have been a really small something in World War I, but.
That amount.
She's like, that one. Jojo, all of your points are, but the women were sad, but how'd the women feel? The men are dead. They don't even get the right to feel. They're dead.
Dead?
Yes, the woman felt.
They're dead.
The woman felt immense trauma.
Get some help.
Oh my God.
The woman felt immense trauma watching horrible things happening to their children or themselves. But the men are dead. They don't even get the opportunity to have an opinion on it.
Or imagine
Jojo.
This is a matter of opinion, and if you can live with that kind of.
Her opinion. Women are
Jojo, you have to promise me you're going to go watch Saving Private Ryan and All Quiet on the Western Front. I think that one's available on Netflix. If you haven't, you have to promise me you're going to watch it after the show. The last thing on the war thing, and then we're going to move on.
Have you seen Tales of a Geisha?
Let me. Bro, what? Okay.
Also,
are you familiar with the current conflict in Ukraine?
It's also about World War II, but it's about women. The women's side.
The women were sad that their husbands died.
Sad.
Yeah, they're sad. At home.
Are you familiar with the Ukraine conflict?
Yes.
Were they putting screws in sheet metal in the movie?
I mean, you guys could watch it.
Okay. So if
You
I
give
were
me
to...
homework, I'll give you
hang on.
homework.
Did you actually watch the movie?
What? The Tales of a Geisha? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what was it about?
Just the war stories of
Yeah.
4 different women, and then.
Name a single female character from the movie.
I haven't seen it in years. I saw it when I was young.
A single character, just one.
I don't remember.
Don't remember?
Oh my God.
All right.
Okay.
It's okay,
Does a scene stand out? Is there a scene you can give me from the movie that stands out to you?
Of Tales of a Geisha, yeah. She was protecting her children in it with.
Who
They
was?
had to travel. I don't remember the character names. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead.
They had to travel a long distance to avoid the soldiers who were raiding the villages in our wording.
Many miles.
Is this where you got your knowledge on the war about from that movie?
That is a diabolical
You should be
laugh.
wearing this shit, not me.
Did they manage to escape?
I deadass feel like all of your knowledge on the war was from that movie now. That you just mentioned that.
This is gonna be the craziest drive home ever.
Speaking about drive home, it's a little bit late.
Okay, let me read here, Madison. Can I have you read this chat? And I have one last thing, and then.
In relation to oppression, a new take is poor men shouldn't be allowed to date, marry, have kids. If you can't afford a date, stay single and work on yourself. What does the table think about
Going around the
this?
table on this, and then I'll come back really quick on one thing. Go ahead.
I think that's crazy, but I kind of said that earlier.
Saying poor men should not be allowed to date. Agree, disagree?
I disagree.
I say that if you're not financially stable, one, you probably shouldn't be having kids. But I mean, you should be able to date as long as you're working on yourself.
Okay.
You can definitely date, yeah.
Wait, your mic needs to be tilted up.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine. Go ahead.
I mean, obviously you can date, but I don't think you should if you don't have anything in your life established. You should work on yourself before looking for a partner.
Sure.
I think it's not just specific to men, but yeah, if you can't afford anything, dates probably wouldn't be fun, and you probably should work on yourself.
I disagree.
Okay.
I believe that they should be able to date still. Maybe not have a family and maybe be a little bit more established.
Yeah, not heroin addicts.
Exactly. Thank you for that.
I heavily disagree. I don't think you have to have your life established before you get into a relationship. I think you could get into a relationship and establish.
Well, it specifically said about having children too.
Oh yeah, you shouldn't have children.
Like you should get your life sorted, or have a partner that has their life sorted at least.
But so if
I think
it's
you can get your life
fair,
sorted together.
if it's fair for a woman to say that poor men shouldn't be allowed to date, then is it okay for men to say that women who weigh over 150 pounds shouldn't date?
Whoa, 150. How much do you think I weigh? I am in very good shape.
Look, I mean, that's
Superior
actually
genes, bro.
That's being pretty generous too.
150.
That's being really generous.
Is-
Fine, more than 130, you shouldn't be allowed to date.
Okay, then
You could say whatever
I guess
you
I'm
want.
undateable. I weigh more than 130,
Yeah.
and I am very fit. So you can literally see
Hot
my
take.
ribs through my shirt.
I'm not saying that's
and you're
my.
saying
I'm not saying
fat.
that's my position. I'm just saying, if it's okay for women to say it, is it okay for men to say that?
I think the weight is both ways though. If you say,
Oh, there you go. All right.
men shouldn't date fat women, then women shouldn't date fat men.
Yeah, there you go. Cool.
Okay.
Or they can date each other.
Yeah.
So, really quick, what's going on in Ukraine? Okay. So all the Ukrainian women, get this right, all the Ukrainian women could leave the country. This was when, shit hit the fan. All the men from, it was like 18 to 60, maybe 65, I forgot exactly what. They had to stay in the country. A lot of them got drafted. They had to stay.
Okay.
In Ukraine, this current conflict, who would you say is the primary victim of the Ukrainian war? Men or women? Knowing that I just told you that all the women could leave the country and all the men had to stay. And the vast majority of the military casualties are men in the current conflict.
Men.
Who's the prime? Oh, there we go. A little progress here. I had to use something modern, something recent. Okay. And you know what's funny about the Ukrainian war? While the Ukrainian men were being killed.
Malik, do you have any more of those bananas so we can give her a treat?
I'll
Good behavior.
I'll get her one when we leave.
It's a joke. Calm down. I'm kidding.
That's a crazy joke, dude.
Oh my God. So now does it change?
Now you can go tell your feminist friends about it, and they can all be upset. Put it in their standpoint theory books.
Does it change anything?
I never said women are better. My total point, my opinion is about fairness, right? You go draft women, go draft men. Like both are on the same level.
Wait, hold on.
I've always said that.
Hold on. So, what if I told you that all the women, a lot of women, Ukrainian women, they went off to Stockholm and Sweden and the UK, France, wherever. They were up on Tinder and up in the club while the males in Ukraine were getting decimated, destroyed. Is that evidence of female privilege?
If in a case scenario, you're saying every woman from Ukraine is partying it up in the
Boneman
club.
538 donated $100. Sober from heroin since March 2016. For the one leaving a relationship with an addict, they have non-AA/non-NA meetings in California called ACA, and for some that is a helpful transition onward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations
Oh, man.
on being sober.
Your point you're saying about
In the case where every woman is partying it up in all these other countries.
not every
and
woman, but
that's what you said. And the men are fighting in the war, in the trenches. Yes. I agree.
okay.
In that case.
Woke.
Yep.
I don't think you've still stated a bigger female grievance compared to, because my original point where this all stemmed from was that forced military conscription, the sort of gendered participation of men in the military, is a bigger grievance, forced military conscription, bigger grievance than all of women's collective grievances combined.
A bigger grievance than like war?
Yeah.
And men getting drafted in war?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I don't really have a bigger grievance.
Okay, so men are more oppressed than women. Checkmate.
No.
Pond.
You need like a chessboard.
Yeah.
No.
It's just like.
But you failed to state a grievance that is worse than forced military conscription.
But like percentage-wise, how many statistically, how many times have men been drafted to go to war?
Forever.
You realize that this
Every war that's
Forever.
ever happened,
So,
men
like,
have been
in the
drafted
history
while
of
women get
ever.
to stay home.
In the case of the U.S.
In the history of ever.
It is literally a war crime to attack women while men get shot.
I've never gotten a letter to be drafted.
Yeah.
Well, no, I meant actual.
The only thing women get forced to do is jury duty.
every single war almost, and men have been forced to go to war.
So,
Yeah.
my point is, time-wise, right? It doesn't happen
Go ahead.
on a daily basis. This.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It happens when it's really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
and
agree.
then women are not forced to get sent off to war for various reasons.
Well, my point is, with this, is there's daily things that happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
To women.
Okay.
Now, I'm not
let me
saying
ask
all
you.
women.
Let me ask you.
I never
no.
said that.
Okay, hold on. Let me engage with you on this. Okay, so catcalling is bad, and that almost exclusively is targeted towards women, correct?
care if you
That's
Let's
like
call.
war, though. That's like war, though, Brian.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
care.
like sending
I
so
don't
let's
say
say
catcalling
let's
bad.
say
on the beaches of
catcalling.
Normandy. That's like catcalling.
Let's say catcalling happens to thousands of women a day, every single day.
Okay.
But men only get drafted sometime. Which is worse?
The catcalling or drafting?
Yeah, no, I'm asking you a question.
No, a serious question.
No,
too,
which
huh?
one's worse?
I'm gonna have to say definitely the catcalling. As a joke, yes, I know. Obviously, I can make jokes. Not good ones. Drafting, yes.
All right.
Yeah, not good ones.
Yeah, not good ones.
All right.
That's tough.
All right, let's read a couple chats. Let's read some chats. Did we read this one?
No.
Maddie?
F, yeah, when a Mexican general is invited to invade a country and his only answer is C, holy F. I feel like a naked man at the wall of the Alamo. Please invade this country. I don't know what that means.
Holy
I don't know. Well, if we can. Thank you, the official prince.
To the 5-foot guy, forget these delusional, westernized female standards. You build and protect the world they live in, and that makes you better than them. None of these girls deserve what they asked for. Leave America so your height and money won't matter.
Period.
Thank you, Jazz.
Money will still
Short
probably matter,
king.
not gonna lie.
The official prince, thank you.
She's wrong. She's unbelievably wrong. Entire provinces and cities in Iran, fumbled that, have zero law against women. She is talking about essentially the DC, Washington areas. Most of Iran has lots of respect for female autonomy. Iran is deeply misrepresented.
I was saying the Middle East in general. I just used Iran as an example because you do see this happening a lot in Iran. But it's the Middle East in general.
What do you see happening a lot in Iran?
Women being oppressed.
How?
How? By not having nearly as many rights as men. In a lot of the countries,
Yeah,
predominantly.
but you don't believe in egalitarianism. What do you care?
I was using that as an example that Jojo said she felt oppressed. That women
I
are
never
oppressed
said I felt
in the U.S.
oppressed in
Women,
my life.
you felt that women are oppressed in the U.S. And I said actual women being oppressed you would see in the Middle East, especially like more Arabic countries.
Oh, you mean by her
Yeah.
standard, not by your standard?
No, by the standard, like by oppression in general. Like in the Middle East, women are oppressed.
Yeah, but is that good or bad?
That's
Mallory?
bad. Oppression's bad. Like what?
So you want? So you do want egalitarianism?
No, I don't think men and women should be equal, but they should have equal rights.
Okay, so how's that not egalitarianism?
Honestly, I don't know the exact definition of egalitarianism.
Well, it's really
Educate
strange
me.
because
Educate
earlier
me,
you
I'm
said
sure.
that feminism, from your purview, was egalitarianism, and here you are saying that you're not a feminist but want egalitarianism. So now I'm confused, Mallory.
You're putting words in my mouth.
Nope.
First of all,
I'm not. I'm specifically not. Did you not define feminism as being egalitarianism?
I was asking if Brian would consider it egalitarianism. I didn't.
What do
say it
you
was.
consider it to be if it's not egalitarianism then?
I think feminism is the idea that men and women should be equal. I do not believe in.
No, how's that not egalitarianism?
Being equal and having equal rights are not the same thing.
What does egalitarianism mean? Here, let's pull up a definition now of egalitarianism. What if you had to guess, what would you say that it meant?
Equality.
Equality. Would that include equal rights?
Yes, that would include equal rights.
So the doctrine that all people are equal and deserve equal rights. That is the definition of egalitarianism that you believe in, and you said that egalitarianism was feminism.
Yes.
Yes? And you believe in egalitarianism? Yes. Therefore, you would be what?
I do not have feminist views. I think that men and women should have equal rights.
By your definition earlier.
No. If you can throw in other words, I can too, Andrew. Shut up. So,
okay. Well, then define what egalitarianism means.
I just said
it doesn't mean feminism.
So you just read the definition that egalitarianism means equality. So I guess.
Nope. I'll read it again. It's the doctrine that all people are equal and deserve equal rights.
Okay, I agree with half of that. I think all people should have equal rights, but I do not think men and women are equal. For instance, with the war example that we've been arguing about for the past hour or so, men getting drafted into war should never be something women do not belong on the war field. I don't think they should be completely equal in every right.
Well, that doesn't sound like all that sounds like is a pushback against equal rights.
What is the point you're trying to make, Andrew?
My point is that if you define egalitarianism as feminism and you believe in egalitarianism, which is broadly defined not as equity, but is defined specifically as
feminism
equal rights, then it sounds like, Malik, you're a feminist. By your logic, that's all. I'm just pointing this out.
No, you're twisting.
Checkmate.
No, it's not. It's not a checkmate. Feminism, my understanding of it, which you said I'm incorrect on, by the way, but feminism, to my understanding,
I was right about that too. But I'm just saying by your standards.
But you have educated me that feminism means a female supremacy. So
yes,
equality is not female supremacy. Andrew, checkmate.
That's right. So then, if that's true, then your earlier definition of egalitarianism being feminism was incorrect.
I never
when
said
Brian
that.
told you it was incorrect, and you were arguing with him about it being correct, right, Malik?
You can watch the video back. I asked Brian if he would consider that the same. I never, to my memory, stated feminism is egalitarian.
Oh no, the reason you were in the argument is because you stated emphatically that that's what
if I stated that,
and Brian pushed back and said, no, that's not feminism. It doesn't just mean egalitarianism. And you were like, no, it does. I have to argue with you now, right? I take notes to this whole thing so that I have good timestamps for my show. That's how I know what you said when you
lawyered.
Like I just stated,
take the L.
My understanding of feminism was extreme equality on both rights.
Take the L.
On both rights and gender roles, more specifically the gender roles.
Take the L.
I'm not taking the L because I'm not wrong, Brian.
She's not taking the L.
I'm not taking the L.
Just fight about this for hours. I'll just let it go so we can move on.
Just for the sake of time, I do have to move on here. Maddie, can you read this chat?